Taste to Consider podcast. We are back for another episode. Taste to Consider podcast. Let me officially introduce the show. It's a Taste to Consider podcast. I'm your host, Derek Silver, and we're back for another episode. Yes, I'm back. I'm back for another episode. I'm still trying to get my sea legs together, get these shows out weekly, the podcast out weekly, and get it, on a regular scheduled date. So just bear with me. You're going to get them every week, but I'm just, trying to get myself back into the groove of things. And then I had the nerve to start back recording during the summer, So usually I like to record on the weekends, no worrying about work and feeling tired from my 9 to 5 and stuff like that. I could just, go throughout the day with a clear mind, chill, and just record in the evening time. But it is summertime, so the streets are, open for business. Got to get out there, get some vitamin D, some activities going. So yeah, just bear with me. The episode's gonna get done every week. It just might not be released on the same day every week. Excuse me, burp number one. But shout out to you. Shout out to all the followers, the new followers, the listeners on all the streaming services, and the YouTube viewers. Shout out to all the YouTube viewers that have checked out and have been loyal to the Taste Reviews Drink Edition show. I was just looking at my calendar on my phone earlier today, and I'm coming up on my anniversary of that show. I think it's like the third year anniversary, and I can't believe I've been doing that show that long, because when I first started out doing it, I was doing it like bi-weekly. I was doing it every 2 weeks, and I just recently started doing it every week. So for it to be 3 years, the process has been kind of slow as far as me pumping those shows out consistently. So I'm finally at the point now where I'm doing them once a week. At first I was doing it every 2 weeks. So I'm still having a good time doing that show, still learning some good things. Shout out to all the people who have been hitting me up about the show and asking for whiskey recommendations, been sending me whiskey recommendations, all the people who have donated bottles to the show. If you want to donate, just hit me up. Taste to Consider Network on YouTube as well as on Instagram. Yeah, so today I got a good show. I'm looking forward to this show. We're coming up on the end of June, so that is the end of Men's Health Month, not Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. But yeah, we coming up on the end of that. So I came across this clip today. I had some other clips playing, and as part of Men's Health Month and it coming to an end, but I came across this one and I was like, yeah, this one is a really good one just to play and just end it off for Men's Health Month. So here we go right here. This is from Kier Gaines. He's a licensed therapist on Instagram. He's actually from this area as well. He's a
Today is the last day of Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, so let me give you 3 things to sit with. Something to think about as you go throughout your healing journey. Number 1, hypervigilance. Ever back your car into a parking space just in case it goes down and you got to get out of there quickly? When you're at a restaurant, do you need to sit facing the door just in case a threat comes in? We call this hypervigilance. It's either habits rooted in old threats or the anticipation of a threat that's probably never going to be yours to deal with. And look, being ready is one thing, but always being on high alert is how you get a dysregulated nervous system. Pay attention to when you're so cautious you're doing more surviving than actually living. Number 2 is sex, bro. We talk about sex, but we don't talk about our relationship with sex. When you first started, you were probably very young and it meant something different to you, but it's changed over time. And this ain't even just heteronormative. This goes for gay men as well. What's your relationship to sex? What is it that it makes you feel? Can you capture the difference between how it makes you feel and what it does for your self-image? What it does for your confidence? For some of us, it fills a void of being wanted and feeling desired that we didn't really get in our families growing up or in our communities. For some of us, it makes us feel visible, it makes us feel useful. For some of us, it helps us remember. For some of us, it helps us forget and distracts us from what's going on with us in our internal universe. Maybe for you, it started as a way to feel close, and now it's a way for you to distance yourself from your own feelings. That happens. Be honest with yourself and ask, am I reaching for a connection or am I trying to avoid or move away from something? Number 3 is substances. It's just like sex. What's your relationship to it? A lot of folks started smoking tree in college, and it started as a way to feel something and perhaps it's morphed into a way to not feel anything or to avoid feeling something that's uncomfortable. Just because you don't think you do it, that doesn't mean you don't do it. Maybe it's something you gotta sit with for a little bit so you can see it more objectively. I love the awareness piece, but I'm concerned that we're stuck in awareness mode. It's time to move beyond awareness and into action. And action doesn't mean that you're gonna get your desired outcome, but action means that you're practicing productively moving in that way. Let's be constructive with it.
Hey, and that last point, that was deep, and that's something that I've always, like, when I started going to therapy years ago, I always told each and every therapist that I went to, I need homework, because I knew that I didn't want to stay in that state of just understanding or knowing what I was dealing with as opposed to actually putting into action, healing and, just moving forward, moving past that. But also with that video, like that number 1, the hypervigilance. I talked about that plenty of times, how I'm very hypervigilant. And he pretty much summed me up to a T with number 1 with that hypervigilance, Joan. Anybody tell you I'm always on guard, I'm always, checking to see, I'm just doing too much. I'm the one that backing that car in so I can be ready if I got to hurry up and pull out. I've been like this for a long time. And that's one of the things that I still, struggle with is my hypervigilance. I'm always, thinking about the worst in a lot of situations or whatever, or trying to prepare myself for the worst in a lot of situations. And he's absolutely right. Like, because of my hypervigilance, I don't do a lot of living. I do a lot of surviving. And, I'm that person that when I'm in the restaurant, I got to make sure I got a view of the door. I got to know where the exits are, all that stuff. I'm extremely hypervigilant when it comes to my safety and the safety of others that I'm with. And it is annoying because it's almost to the point where it's not even second nature, it's first nature for me. It's just crazy. And people who really know me, they know that's how I am. And I'm sure it can be stressful for them at times. That's why I kind of like just don't say nothing. I just keep it to myself and I just, do what I got to do with my eyes and my ears when I'm in places. But the second one, sex, I can identify with that as well from the standpoint of particularly when I was younger and I first started having sex and using sex as a void for, the lack of affection and attention and love that I wasn't getting. those was rough periods or whatever, because I didn't realize at points where like when I was in high school and like early college and stuff like that, that I would I would be in relationships and then break up with those people, and those people will always be like, well, can we still have sex? And I would oblige to that, because I would look at it like, you know what I'm saying, I was keeping them close to me. I was still feeling that void of, the lack of attention, affection, and love and stuff, and affirmation that I was getting, in my home life, and even growing up, and that was just all built up in me or whatever. And yeah, I would oblige to that. Like, I would be sitting here feeling just terrible that I broken up with the person but still having sex with them, but that was that was enough. I was keeping that connection and stuff like that. So yeah, he's absolutely right about how men are with sex, and particularly these days, because of how hypersexual the society is, period, and particularly in the quote unquote black community and the black culture. Is just tremendously hypersexualized, to the point where it leads right into the third point, where it's substances. Like, I've talked about that plenty of times on here, how we don't talk enough about how sex is equivalent of a substance as is drugs and alcohol, and how we use those things to fill voids or to get us through and to cope and stuff like that. So I thought that this was a perfect, message to end off the June Men's Health Month. But I am going to play another clip or whatever that I did have ready for this as well. But I thought that one was the perfect one to start off with. So let me find that clip real quick. Let me see. All right, here we go. This one is from a Instagram page that I follow as well. It's called Express Yourself Black Man, and it focuses on black men's mental health. And this video is titled, "As a Man, this is one of the reasons why I need God." Hold on 1 second. I got to put the quote back in there. All right, here we go.
And providers, we think that we have control over everything, because we're ingrained with the messaging that you're supposed to be a leader. You lead your family. Yeah. We equate leadership with control.
Yes.
And because of that, when we have moments where we really realize we absolutely have no control over the situation, it causes anxiety, because it's like, oh shit, I can't control this. What the hell do I do? All I know how to do is control things. Like, I'm supposed to be in control. That's why I talk about God so much on the platform, bro. Yep. Because, bro, once you realize you don't have control over stuff, it literally will drive you crazy unless you have a higher source that you have faith in.
Yep.
Go ahead.
The tough thing about that is, I think it's challenging for me because I have faith in whatever God has for me or what's next for me is for my good. Like, my fear is not even.
Yeah. That was a short clip from that podcast, that page or whatever. But I can identify with that. And for somebody who spent a lot of time in the church as a young kid, and has a mom who is I would say pretty religious. Her dad was a Baptist preacher. I think he was a Baptist preacher. He was a preacher, I know that. I believe he was a Baptist. And her grandfather was a preacher. My brother is a pastor. My mentor is a pastor. Like, it's just church all around me or whatever. Like, I was heavily in the church when I was younger. I started going to church when I was in, I believe, elementary school. I was in the choir. I've sang solos. I've done a sermon before on a youth Sunday. I really started detaching myself from church for real when I was older enough to not go. And I believe that was around the midpoint of high school, but it was still all around me. And I don't go to church like that no more. I don't. I have a different type of relationship with church and with the message that goes on in church, particularly black church. That's for like another episode. But yeah, I have my own relationship with God. I have my own beliefs based on, my experiences and, the word and stuff like that. I pray pretty much every day. I have my talks with God and stuff like that. So, I believe there is a higher power. I believe there is someone outside of myself that is greater than me and that plays a big role in my life. But I do feel as though that my relationship with God, the foundation of that relationship was built on my relationship with my parents. And I believe that's something that people don't talk about at all or talk about enough. I don't hear nobody really talk about that at all. And I feel like I'm the only one that brings it up in these type of conversations. But I feel as though that our relationship with our parents or whoever was our foundational guardians played a big role in how our relationship is with God. How we trust them, how loyal we are to them, the things that we believe and stuff like that. Because, when you're young growing up, you don't really comprehend who God is until you get to a certain level of, comprehension and intelligence. So you pretty much grow up worshiping your parents. And however that relationship started off plays a big role in how your relationship with God starts off and may continue depending on your level of pain, so to speak, or how that relationship with your parents or your guardians affected you. And that has always been one of the sticking points with my relationship with God, because of what I went through with my parents or whatever. I've had trust issues with God or whatever. I had issues with believing God or whatever. And I know that stems from how my parents showed up for me in my life and the things that I needed. So I look at God, and when I'm not getting certain things, or I wasn't getting certain things in my life that I was praying for, or that I feel that I deserved and stuff, I would take it out on God. But I'm really, focusing on my parents and similar situations that only the human aspect of me can truly understand. Because having faith in God that's something that requires a lot of strength and faith, however you look at faith. And as a black man, it could be a very sticky situation, that you can toe the line between your love and your quote unquote hatred or disbelief in God, based on how, society has treated us as black men and continue treating us, and even, our own community and our own peers. It could be a sticky situation. So, I try my best to, be as mindful as possible the things that I think, the things that I say out of my mouth when it comes to my faith and my relationship with God. But I do believe that, the more focused and the more I heal and build my capacity and my resilience in life, that I'm able to have a stronger faith in God, because I'm not being so reactive and I'm not taking things so personal. And I'm able to understand that God has a plan for me and that, that plan will be fulfilled as long as I'm obedient to him as well as obedient to myself, because no matter what, you have to be obedient to yourself and what you believe God has blessed you with, whether that be your gifts, your talents, or just the feelings that you have inside that come from a place of love as opposed to a place of anxiety and fear. All right, let me move on. So we about to get to the meat of the podcast, the meat and potatoes of the podcast. But yeah, June, Men's Health Month, is coming to a close. But actually, in July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. So we gonna keep rocking with the mental health awareness in the next month. So I'll still be having some clips and some commentary for all of that good stuff because, like I said, my new campaign is Who Hurt You? Who hurt you? Because but especially in the black community, the black culture, we do a lot of things based off of our hurt, our traumas. And it's crazy that we just continue to bypass that and that we lack understanding from that. We think that, which is funny, the term I'm about to use right now is pretty much the rest of what the podcast is going to be about. We think black excellence is going to get us through, and that means that we've been progressing, and that just ain't the case. It's like it's like that sex and them drugs. It's coping, is masking. Yeah. So, Tyler Creator, he did an interview with Complex, and he said that we need to ban podcast mics. Tyler Creator, of all the people who say we need to ban mics, Tyler Creator said that. Because Tyler Creator be saying some of the goofiest crap out of his mouth. And what's interesting, and when I was going back and forth with this, this topic or whatever, I was just, just thinking about things and thinking about who Tyler Creator is or how he presents himself. And it's always interesting when you see artsy people, and it's a fine line between being an artsy person and just a straight up weird person. And I ain't trying to, be all negative and, talk about people and stuff like that. But let's be real. It's a thin line between the artsy people and the weird people. And, it's all cool for the artsy people to, they have their process on how they are creatives and stuff like that, and how they live their life. You can see it in a lot of aspects of their life, how they dress, how they, they talk, how they interact with other people and stuff like that. And that's fine. As long as it's authentic and it's unique to them, cool. I'm all for that. I'm all for people living their life the way that they want to live it. They ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm all for authenticity. But then you have these artsy people that borderline. No, it ain't even borderline. They just come off as weird. And they think because they're artsy that, or they align with the artistic community, that they can just be weird. They can say weird things and not have to be accountable for them. They can do weird things and not have to be accountable for them because they're quote unquote artsy or artistic. And I look at Tyler Creator like one of those dudes. He's definitely talented, but he comes off as weird. He says a lot of weird things, and he gets away with it because he's a celebrity, or he just say he's artsy. You know, he's artistic. And a lot of times you'll see where these people who claim that they artistic and stuff and do a lot and say a lot of weird things, that they think that it's intellectual. So him saying that podcast mics should be banned, and I'm going to go through the rest of the quotes from that interview, is interesting to me because he says a lot of weird stuff. He does a lot of weird stuff, but he gets away with it because he's claiming, burp number 2. Burp number 3, he claims artistic or artsy. So let me pull up this post so I can read the rest of the comments. He says, we give a lot of people who aren't smart platforms to be loud and incorrect. And this is what I was saying about, you know, a lot of people who deem themselves or label themselves as artsy or artistic or whatever. They feel as though that they're very intellectual because they're different. And I'm not saying this is all of them, but I'm really focusing on the weird people who are in that artistic community. They think because they just, you know, very creative and artistic and talented, that they can just say and do whatever they want to do and get away with it because they're artsy or artistic. He goes along to say, I think we give a lot of people who aren't smart and just want attention platforms to be loud and incorrect, and other stupid people follow them. Where are the people with skills? We need electricians. We need more drummers, painters, teachers. Everybody with a mic is crazy. I just think that ish is gross. Now, this is the problem that I have with Tyler Creator saying this. Like, okay, that's the trendy thing to say these days, you know, podcast mics should be banned. And here I am sitting with a podcast. So it may look as though that I'm taking it personal or whatever. I'm not taking it personal because I don't care. I believe that I actually, even though I agree with the sentiment to a degree, I feel as though it's good that a lot of people are pulling up mics and talking. That don't mean I have to listen to all of them. And that's the easiest thing that people can do. You got a problem with these podcast mics or the quote unquote stupid people that's on these mics? You don't have to listen to them. It is just that easy. That is the easiest thing that you can do. And you don't even have to complain about it. But here we go with how, and he talked about it as well, the following. This is what people do today. They follow trendy stuff. And as long as it's coming out, particularly, especially in the black community, quote unquote black community, the black culture, as soon as a celebrity opens their mouths to something that is confirmation bias or trendy, they'll follow it and they'll run with it. But it's just so easy. Just if you got a problem with a certain person that got a podcast, don't listen to them. And that's why my podcast is titled A Taste to Consider. I named my podcast A Taste to Consider because I know everybody is not going to agree with me. I don't want everybody to agree with me. I hate followers. I know that's a strong word to use, hate, but I hate followers. I hate followers. A Taste to Consider podcast because I got something to say. My opinion, whatever. You don't have to agree with it, but it's just something to consider. And if you don't agree with it, you don't have to listen no more. It is that easy. And I think like I said, it's a good thing that all these people on these podcast mics, because now you can start to see who people actually are, even outside of them being performative, because it's a lot of people that is COE, content over everything, and they're just performative behind these mics. But let's not act like, he says, I think we give a lot of people who aren't smart and just want attention platforms to be loud and incorrect, and other stupid people follow them. What makes him know who's smart and who's not on these mics? Is he listening to every podcast that's out here? Because there's a lot of damn podcasts out here. So is he listening to every podcast that's out here? Or is he just following a trend, picking and choosing? It's just cool to say right now. And if you got a stupid person on the mic and a stupid person following, let that just be what it is. You still have the choice of not listening to this quote unquote stupid person. Once again, he goes on to say, where are the people with skills? We need electricians. We need more drummers, painters, teachers. Everybody with a mic is crazy. I just think the ish is gross. There's a skill behind doing the podcast. Trust me. There's a skill behind doing the podcast. I've been podcasting by myself for 6 years. Total podcasting for 8 years. There's a skill behind podcasting. It's just not turning on the mic and start talking. Trust me, it's not. And I agree. We need some more electricians and stuff out here. I believe in, the black community being more into obtaining trades. I'm all for that. But they can still get behind the mic and start talking. And just because this person has a skill in one thing don't mean that they're a genius in everything else. It's teachers out here that just teaches. They don't really care about their job. I've highlighted plenty of therapists through clips on this podcast who show their lack of intelligence, their hatred for a certain demographic, a certain community, people in community, black men, black women, whoever. So just because a person has a skill or a fancy job or a trending job doesn't mean that they're skillful, because it's a lot of therapists out here behind mics that just ain't doing the right thing. Because when it comes down to it, people are still human. They still going to have their ulterior motives. They still going to have their biases. And you have to weed through that. And that's the whole point of actually listening to people. We spend so much time just following behind somebody's review on something or belief in something that we don't give people a chance. I believe in having conversation. I don't believe that I'm the smartest person in the room. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Even if I was the smartest person in the room, there's nothing wrong with that. Because that doesn't negate me from being able to learn something from somebody just because I'm deemed the smartest person in the room. You got all these cute memes and these cute, posts on social media that talk about this stuff. Don't be the smartest person in the room. If there's a problem and all that other stuff. No, at some point, somebody got to be the smartest person in the room. I mean, are we like, is something wrong that we can't understand this? At some point, somebody is going to be the smartest person in the room. And you may be that person. But that doesn't negate you from being able to learn something from somebody because you're labeled the smartest person in the room. We don't have enough conversation as it is. We don't even know how to have a conversation. We don't even know how to communicate because we aren't doing it. It's too many assumptions, and there's too much projection going on, and people aren't communicating. So I don't see nothing wrong with all these people out here behind podcasts. I actually love it. Particularly, I love seeing a lot of black men behind it, even if they not saying things that I agree with or things that I feel as though that are dangerous or toxic. We need that because we need to see who we shouldn't be following behind or who we shouldn't be listening to. Imagine if podcasting was out when Martin Luther King and Malcolm X was, out there in the streets. Do you actually think everybody in the black community would be behind them? Hell no. No. It'll probably be less support behind them for all the things that they be talking about. All the things that they was, saying. Everybody, this is the problem with society today, and particularly in social media culture. And I see it a lot in black culture, is we think just because you disagree with somebody, you're hating. You literally can't disagree with nothing nobody say or you hating. You can't have a difference of opinion or nothing. Like, we just love following. Social media is just people just worried about going along to get along. Jumping on trains, jumping on bandwagons, what's trending, whatever. You just can't have a difference of opinion or something wrong with you. You're a hater or something like that. And that is exactly why I started a Taste to Consider podcast, because it's healthy to have a disagreement, a difference of opinion. And we look at it like just because somebody has a difference of opinion, they stupid or they a hater or whatever y'all call these people out here. I don't get it. Like I follow a lot of people who are quote unquote influencers or podcasters or media people or whatever, and I don't agree with everything that they say, but I'm just not going to just stop following them or anything like that, It's healthy to just, like, where do we start just acting like everybody is supposed to be the same? Like, really, this social media culture is just all over the place where everybody has to fall in line and be perfect and do the same thing, look the same way. You got the same BBLs, the same stomachs, the same perfect teeth. You got the same hairlines, the same baby hairs. I mean, it's just like, and now AI is coming out here strong. And it's just like, we about to be a society of robots. Like we're straying away from God so much because everything is about perfection. Everything is about perfection. Looking the same, being the same, saying the same things. There's no uniqueness anymore. It is refreshing to find somebody who is being authentically themselves and being unique. It's very refreshing. But today, everybody is just trying to be the same way. I just don't get it. So, shout out to Tyler, Creator. I don't agree with you, and I think you very goofy at times. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it just is. And the funny thing about it is, in the interview on Complex, I might as well just segue into it. He bigged up y'all boy that I was talking about on the last podcast, Deante Cowell and the Grits and Eggs podcast. I was like, bruh, it makes sense because they seem like the same type of dude, artsy type dudes or whatever, but toe that line toe that thin line of weirdness where they just pop off and just say anything and they'll get away with it because they're artsy. So, like I said, I segued into it. So let me pull up these new clips. And I'm not going to be going at him every episode, but I came across this clip in, my weekly social media perusing. And I thought that, I need to talk about this. I need to talk about it. So I only heard the clip once. I was like, I'm not going to keep listening to it. I'm just going to freestyle it while I'm on the show. So let me pull up them clips. Oh, man. Where is that? Damn, did I? Oh, here you go. Here you go right here. And it's like 3 clips, I think. 3 small clips. So bear with me through the pauses and stuff. So here we go.
Fine. We kicking it heavy. It start getting to a point where it's like it's getting a little serious, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And my partner like, yeah, bro. He was like, man, that hoe fine. Like, man, you might want to put a baby in her. I'm like, what?
What kind of advice is that, my nigga?
Put a baby in that. Yeah, keep that around. Cause she fine. That's crazy.
And I ain't even gonna say Shorty was. Our disconnect is we just from 2 different worlds. Mm-hmm. Like she grew up a lot more privileged than me. I'm selling drugs at the time. I'm robbing niggas, all type of shit. We not living the same type of life, and we don't have the same mentality. Like she in college, and respect though. I wasn't never like the type of niggas like fuck school, woo woo woo. I understand we have a disconnect. We just gonna go part our separate ways because I'm not finna change for you, and nothing you could do to change for me could be good for you.
Right.
Because I have nothing to offer. You see what I'm saying? Fine.
All right, that was the first clip of the 3 clips. But I just gotta say something that I've noticed so much. You ever notice, being black or whatever, that there's certain black people that act so black that it's fake? Okay, yeah, I knew you did. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. They act so black that it's fake, right? Okay. Oh my goodness, man. I swear, bro. Oh my goodness, man. All right, I'm gonna move on to the second clip. Oh man, second clip. Here go the second clip.
And I think that's an unfortunate thing too. Like niggas is getting girls pregnant to keep a string on them. Naomi Osaka, bro. Right. Perfect example. I don't know these folks, right? I don't know what people's timelines is. I don't control relationships. I'm just saying specifically to make this example. You with a girl, she at the peak of her career. She could be the greatest tennis player of all time. You get her pregnant. Like, what are we doing, cuz? Because we do control that.
Right. No, we do.
You gotta nut in something.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. The cord had popped out. So let me start this second clip over. But yeah. But y'all heard how he started off. He said he was talking about Naomi Osaka, the tennis player, and the dude that she has a child with. I think his name Corday, a rapper, a musician or something. You heard him say that he don't know these people, right? All right, so I'm going to start the second clip over. And I preface this by saying, y'all heard he said he don't know these people, right? Okay. That's why I say this dude is dangerous, bro. All right, here we go. Second clip. Damn. I think I got to buy a new cord. This joint acting janky today. Damn. I think I got another one somewhere. I ain't got time to find it. All right, so let me get this cord together and see if it'll work. I'm gonna have to buy me a new joint. God. All right, let me see if it worked this time. Let me see.
You get her pregnant. Like, what are we doing, cuz? Because we do control that.
Right. No, we do.
You gotta nut in something.
Yeah.
Trust me, I got 3. I know how you gotta be in there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, balls to the wall. You gotta be balls to the wall. You gotta lay in there.
Balls to the wall.
Balls to the wall. But this is the thing, the pregnancy, niggas are doing shit. Niggas are getting girls pregnant to hinder them from, you understand what I'm saying?
Third clip.
And that, hey, maybe this ain't the nigga for me. And it's talked about, bro, and it's like, niggas will sit here and talk to me about pandering. It's like, bro, I know what you do, bro. Realizing that, hey, maybe this ain't the nigga for me.
All right, well, that was it. I didn't listen to it at first, so I thought it was more complex to it. But the whole, and I'm going to say this first, something that I noticed. And I noticed this based off another incident that happened with him with a viral moment. This dude drinks too much. This dude drinks too much. You could tell just, and I'm sitting here right now for the YouTube watchers, and I got the drink show. I'm sitting here right now with a glass of whiskey. This is my first glass of whiskey. So I know when somebody drunk. I know about recording drunk. I mean, I got episodes called Too Lit Too Fast because I pregame too much before I started recording, and I've been drunk or tipsy before while recording. This dude drinks too much. And there was an incident after the viral moment with the black men being accountable and stuff where he started tweeting or commenting about the stuff with the illegal immigration stuff, right? So he was all 10 toes down with, I don't care about the illegal immigration. It's all about, black Americans and all that other stuff, which, what I'm saying, I agree with, but I ain't even, what I'm saying, that'll be for another day. But soon as he started getting backlash for that, the Bama made a 180 and was like, oh, my bad, I was being too reactionary, I was drunk. But when it came to going on black men, and this is the trend, it's easy to go on black men. It's easy to go on black men. We the easy target, and nobody gonna care because majority of society don't care about black men. They look at us like savages. But as soon as people start coming to his neck on the immigration stuff, then, oh, my bad, I was drunk. And I got the tweet, I saved the tweet. So I'm gonna pull it up. And this is why I said this dude is dangerous right here, man. And the fact that, he's saying the things that he's saying, and he has this large following, there's a problem. So here you go. Where is that? He said, this was on Twitter. He said, I was on here drunk being reactionary. I'll do better. Now he felt the need to be contrite because he was getting, this ain't got nothing to do with black men. People don't care about black men. It's black men easy target. If somebody come against you, you can just brush it off. But now it came to that illegal immigration stuff. Then now, oh, I was drunk. I was being reactionary. He doubled down on black men, but soon as he said something that was for the illegals or the Latin community, and it wasn't anti-black male, then now he had to apologize. I mean, come on. Like, he talk about accountability, but you're a grown man and you blaming it on the alcohol. Come on, bro. You blaming it on the alcohol, grown man? Blaming it on alcohol. See, this is what I'm talking about right here. It's like, this should be stuff that is easy to identify with. Like, this dude, he's no different than all those relationship dudes that came out a few years ago and I remember I was talking about one of them on this podcast when he got caught up. What was his name? Dirk something? Because I think he had the same name as me, but he spelled it Derrick. And he got caught up. He had that wife, and they did that little video or whatever. He was saying all the good things, all the women was loving him. He got caught up, and then it was just it. And there was a lot of black men telling black women, and this dude is fake. Y'all gonna see, and then it ended up happening. And this is the same crap with this dude right here, man. And negative, it's one thing with content creation and just social media, period. Like the negative takes and the rage baiting. The people who do that stuff, they don't really care because it equates to followers, it equates to likes, and it equates to money for them. If they have a big following, it equates to money. So they just gonna be throwing stuff out there just to get, what they need. Ain't no different than when I was talking about that dude Ashton Hall. This dude was a straight up fitness influencer. Now he's a lifestyle influencer. He don't even show workouts no more. The man would just be going to different places and running down the street and stuff. Like, see, this is no authentic people out here. Like, people they just want the followers, the likes, and the money. And we got to be able to recognize that. We got to be able to discern that, man, because like we just falling into these traps where we giving these people these big followings, and then y'all get let down. Then y'all talk about where the real men at, or where the real podcasters at, and where the people with the real knowledge or whatever. And then they right here, but because you don't agree with everything that they say and you ain't getting that confirmation bias from them, then it's nothing. And that's the whole thing with social media, period. Social media is this big old melting pot of people looking for confirmation bias for the shit that they don't want to confront or the stuff that they don't want to heal from. I mean, it's just what it is. But back to the clips, because I was about to go to the next topic, but back to the clips. Like he said that, like, well, let's just start from the beginning. Yes, we know that there are men out here that purposely get women pregnant to try to keep a leash on them. We know that. And it's been plenty of conversations out here about that before. But let's not act like there aren't women out here that do the same thing. See, he tries to push these narratives out here to make it look like it's just men doing it. And it's not me just trying to play the tit for tat, but let's be real. Both sides do it. So probably the equal amount that the other does it. Let's just be real. But then he's throwing out people, celebrities, as an example. But at the same time, he's saying he don't know them people. So you saying that it's two celebrities. I'm not even going to use the two people that he said. I'm just going to use two celebrities. It's two celebrities. You have a celebrity female and a celebrity male. They both successful. They're known and all that other stuff. So you telling me that if they're in a relationship and they've actually sat down and had a conversation and said they're in love or whatever, infatuated, whatever, and they decide that they want to have a child together, or even if they don't speak it, once you lay down with a person and you ain't using protection, you agree to whatever comes after that. That's always been my stance. That's just what it is. So you agreed to have a child together. You have that child together. And now, because you had that child together and the woman career gets stalled because she has to go through the 9 months of pregnancy and all that other stuff, so it's the man's fault now. You see how stupid that sounds? You see how his overly progressive and liberal views are stupid? He sounds like these crazy ass Democrats overly liberal and progressive Democrats that's running around saying this stupid stuff on Capitol Hill. Like, let's be real. Let's be real. So it's the dude's fault, even though these two decided that they want to have a child. So the dude supposed to be like, so if the celebrity woman comes to him and say, I want to have a child with you, I just, I want to go through this journey with you. I love you. I think it would be something good for us to share with each other. The dude's supposed to be like, nah, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to mess up your career or whatever. Let's think about it down the line or whatever. Granted, he has the right to do that, but is that his responsibility to do that? If she's coming to him saying that she wants to have a child, come on, man. I don't think people really listen to the things that people say out their mouths. They just hear what they want to hear. They hear the confirmation. They hear the bias that they need to hear to make them feel comfortable, whether it's their hurt, their pain, their trauma, whatever it is. It doesn't make sense. Like, this dude is moving on. All right. And I'm not trying to, I don't even want to bring this dude up for real. But like, come on, this is stupid right here. So he, like I said, it's obvious that he records drunk, and he drinks because he proved it with that tweet saying I was being reactionary, I was drunk, blaming it on the alcohol. But yeah, here we go. So I'm pretty sure this is not going to be the last time that I come across a clip of his, because I don't follow him. At first I was following him, but I was like, let me not follow him because I don't want it to look like I'm being consumed by him. So I was like, I'm not going to follow him. As soon as I stopped following him, that's when that clip popped up the next day. So I was like, so I see now that I'm not going to get away from this dude and his horrible, dangerous, toxic ass takes. But moving on. So I had this clip a while ago. Like I said, even when I wasn't recording, I was still, putting shows together, collecting topics and stuff. Now, this one I came across is a video that Vic Mensa did. He's a rapper and actor. And he was talking about black excellence. He says he was responding to a tweet that said black excellence is the scam that replaced black power. So let me play that. All right, let me get this chord together. Let me see. Come on, chord. Do me right. I got to get a new one.
My homie reached out to me after I reposted something from 19 Keys the other day saying black excellence is the scam that replaced black power. He said, what's wrong with black excellence? I guess to some that might be a controversial statement because we've been so deeply indoctrinated into the idea of black exceptionalism that we think one athlete, one actor, one president, one rapper represents meaningful progress for black people as a whole. But the studies show that black median wealth will reach zero by the year 2053 if the current trends continue. Millions of us live in prison slave camps making lids for Starbucks cups for like 50 cents a day. The hood is as fucked up as it's ever been. But we got more millionaires than ever before. That shit is a scam. I think that's also the reason why we don't unify or strike and weaponize our labor in any of the industries that we dominate. The NBA, the NFL, the music industry. Because so rarely is one of us more than one step removed from poverty, so nobody's willing to risk it. We know we're being exploited by streaming. We make up all the labor and none of the ownership of the sports teams. Shit, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not saying we shouldn't strive for excellence as a...
Oh, damn. I moved the damn chord and it started acting up. Damn. All right. But I'm a get the chord together and I'm going to play the clip again. And I'm going to stop and play through it and just comment on it. So let me rewind it to the beginning and get this thing going. Damn. I got to get a new chord.
I guess this might be a country. My homie reached out to me after I reposted something from 19 Keys the other day saying black excellence is the scam that replaced black power. He said, what's wrong with black excellence? I guess to some that might be a controversial statement because we've been so deeply indoctrinated into the idea of black exceptionalism that we think one athlete, one actor, one president, one rapper represents meaningful progress for black people as a whole.
And I absolutely agree with that. You know, we make it seem as though because a few people in certain industries or whatever, and it's always got to be media. It always got to be, like you said, an actor or a singer or a rapper, that we made it. And also when it comes to this one thing, like in the black community and black culture, we always got to compare everybody. Like, who was the GOAT in basketball? Who was the GOAT in rapping? Who was the GOAT here? Who was the GOAT there? We always comparing everybody. Like, everybody, there can be multiple greatest of all times. And everybody's greatest of all time doesn't have to be the same. We always be going through these bull BS arguments. And it ain't something that just started. Even like back in the day, Martin and Malcolm, W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. Like, it's always a competition whose side you're going to be on, as opposed to just taking in everything that all sides are saying, all people are saying. Like, we always got to have one leader in the community. Like, everybody is trying to be the main leader of the black community. Everybody's trying to be the main person in whatever when it comes to the black community. Like, we can't have multiple leaders. We can't have multiple greatest of all times. We can't have multiple teachers, everybody black is trying to be the top dog. And it's annoying as hell. Like, this is why we're never going to get nowhere, because everybody is competing or comparing and trying to be the top dog. We not working together. We refuse to work together because we always trying to find the top dog or always trying to be the top dog. It makes absolutely no sense. So yeah, I do believe black excellence is a scam, because it's always, what's the word? What is the word? What is the word that I want to use? Oh my goodness, and I've used it all the time. It's symbolism. Thank you. Whew. That black excellence is just symbolism. We are not getting nowhere. Because when you think about it, like he's going to say in this clip, that most people in these positions, these millionaires and stuff, they just one decision or one choice or whatever from going back to poverty, that they don't want to unify. So a lot of these black people who we give that term black excellence to, that's in the celebrity world, they probably identify more with the white people as opposed to their own people. I mean, let's be real. They don't really care about reaching back down and bringing people up and stuff like that, because it will hinder their quote unquote excellence. It's a fear of, if I help this person and that person might be better than me, and then I'm going to be in the shadows. Or if I help this person, they're going to make me look bad, and then I'm going to lose my connections, my relationships and stuff. Like, you want to talk about haters? Like, we in the black community, we some haters. Because we always competing and comparing between each other. Back to the clip.
But the studies show that black median wealth will reach zero by the year 2053 if the current trends continue. Millions of us live in prison slave camps making lids for Starbucks cups for like 50 cents a day. The hood is as fucked up as it's ever been. But we got more millionaires than ever before. That shit is a scam. I think that's also the reason why we don't unify or strike and weaponize our labor in any of the industries that we dominate. The NBA, the NFL, the music industry. Because so rarely is one of us more than one step removed from poverty, so nobody's willing to risk it. We know we're being exploited by streaming. We make up all the labor and none of the ownership of the sports teams. Shit, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not saying we shouldn't strive.
Because think about it. Like if all the black NBA players, all the black football players say we gonna stop playing for y'all league. We gonna make our own. You think the people you think all the fans and stuff just gonna stop watching? You think if they really made up their own leagues, right? Made up their own leagues so they can have ownership, that the NFL and the NBA are gonna survive? Like they just gonna find each and every white person that they can to start a new league, and that league going to strive? Hell no. Despite all this international players that's coming over here or whatever, that league won't survive with just international players. It won't.
Excellence as a people or as individuals. But we cannot make the mistake of confusing one of us getting out the hood with the progress of the group. We also have to look at the success of individuals that's achieved to the detriment of the masses. We be celebrating shit just because a nigga got some money. It don't matter who the fuck had to die.
Right. And yeah, when I first saw this clip and I rewatched it over again when I was putting my outline together, and he said this, I was like, bruh, think about it. Like, we celebrate niggas that openly said that they killing people. Like, per example, I love me some Cardi. I love Cardi. But she openly said that she used to drug bammers and steal from them. Like, come on. And like, we support this shit. Like, and, you know, there could be conversations saying, you know, Cardi ain't really, you know, Black American and all that other stuff. That's fine or whatever. I was just using her because she's embedded in the culture, the rap culture. But I was just using that as an example because I just thought that was like, we sit here and celebrate people that really are a detriment to the community. And it's crazy. Like I mean I get it because I'm Black American. I came up listening to rap, you know what I'm saying? I came up listening to Ice Cube. My brother used to play Ice Cube all the time, EPMD, all that other stuff. You know, I'm a big Pac fan. And, you know, so I get it. I get like there's this contradiction or this seesaw to the positive and the negative that's going on when it comes to our culture or whatever. And I get it. But sometimes like we fall too far to the extreme of the things and just stay there and we celebrate that as opposed to trying to move forward. Just like, you know, in the first clip when I played the Kier Gaines clip, the therapist, like we have the awareness, but we not get into the action of things, like but action ain't cool, you know what I'm saying?
Like if niggas run around making a bag off the prison industrial complex, are we cheering that shit on? My homie reached out to me after
so that was the clip. And yeah, I got one more clip, and the last clip that I'm gonna play is actually the Joe Budden podcast, and they was actually discussing the Vic Mensa clip. So that's like a 10-minute clip. So I'm gonna go through it. I'm not even gonna let the whole clip play first and then come back and stop and play. I'm gonna stop and play throughout the clip. But I thought that their conversation was kind of interesting. I'm gonna play that clip and then we're gonna end the show off from there. So, all right, let me find that clip. All right, what that clip? But yeah, no, just while I'm looking for the clip, just thinking about we get geeked off that Black excellence stuff off of the most trivial things. Like most recently, the Sinners movie came out. Bam was just so geeked off of that joint. It was a good movie. It definitely was a good movie. I don't think it was as good as everybody was making it seem. It definitely was a good movie though. I'm not hating on it. It definitely, I give it like a the cinematography in the movie was excellent. I give that joint like a 10 out of 10. But overall the movie I give it like a 7.5 or 8 out of 10. It was still a good movie, but we get so geeked off of celebrity shit for black excellence, and we just like, I don't know, man. It's just sad. It's just sad that we do that. And I say we because, you know what I'm saying, I play a part in it as well at times. You know, I'm not trying to separate myself from, you know, I'm not the moral majority of, you know, of I do everything right and y'all need to get yourselves together. Hell nah, that ain't me. Cause, you know, as blackety black as I am, I could be NIGGA as well. So, you know, it's just, but that's why I say, you know, having that awareness is cool, but we got to get into action and, you know, yeah. So I celebrate people's accomplishments. That's fine, but we got to stop. In the black community, we are just so attached to celebrity culture, man. We are just so attached to it, and we make it seem like that's black excellence, and it's not. That is not black excellence, man. That is not black excellence. It's not black power. It ain't nothing. This is just symbolism. It's just symbolism. Them people, these celebrities, 99.5% of these celebrities, and I'm just making this up, but I truly believe it, they don't care about the random people, the fans or the random people, the ordinary people. They don't care about that. They'll make it seem like they care because, you know what I'm saying, that'll keep you reeled in so they can get their likes, their follows, their money for the concerts, the movies, and all that other stuff. But they live a totally different life than we live right now. So that's why I said they identify more with the white rich and wealthy culture because that's pretty much how they live their life and who they spend a lot of their time with. But yeah, all right, let me find a clip. I was supposed to be finding it while I was talking, but yeah, that didn't happen. All right, so let me find a clip. All right, where that clip at? I think I pasted it. Let me see. Excuse me, burp number 6 and 7, 7 and 8. All right, here we go. 8 and 9, 9 and 10. All right, here we go.
Like at the end of it where he explained that his issue isn't with black excellence per se, because that would be a problem, right? We all should strive to be excellent. Mm-hmm. The question is, what does excellence mean and how, and in what lane do we direct it? So if...
Exactly, and that's what I was saying. Like the black excellence, we turn it into symbolism. Like what does the black excellence really mean when we only attach it to celebrity culture?
He says, I want black people to achieve, but I want us to think collectively. I'm good with that. If somebody says, you know, let's celebrate the best of us, that can be problematic if the best of us can only happen at the expense of other people. If there's a finite amount of money.
Exactly. And that's what I was talking about. Like if the black excellence is to the detriment of the black community as a whole, then it's not black excellence. It's just their black excellence. It's the individual's black excellence. It ain't our black excellence, but because, I mean, just the way I feel. The black community, we just followers as a whole, and we just attach ourselves to anything that gives us some type of purpose or I don't know the correct word to use. I think about this a lot, and I be trying to find the correct words to use all the time, but we attach ourselves to certain things that really don't have nothing to do with us. And we try to make ourselves feel good with this black excellence, but it really has nothing to do with us. The only thing that it has to do with us is how we consume it. And us putting money into these people's pockets or whatever, and they not reaching back out. Like, we talk about accountability. Like, we need to start holding these celebrities accountable for how they pour back into the community.
It would be like if there were a finite amount of money here that all of us could make, and Imani made 90% of it, and then we all celebrated Imani being the richest person on the podcast. It'd be like, well, good, kind of, but like we're getting fucked in the process.
And this is Mark Lamont Hill talking on the Joe Budden podcast.
Like that's the argument that I think he's making, you know, and not to nerd out on it too much, but this was an argument that goes back to the early part of the 20th century. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote an essay called The Talented Tenth. And for a long time, he talked about this idea in the essay that the Negro race will be saved by its exceptional men.
See, and this is what I was talking about. When you go back to W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington or whatever, they was having this feud or whatever. W.E.B. Du Bois felt as though that the black community would strive if the intellectuals were in place. And Booker T. Washington didn't agree with that. He felt as though that black people need to get trades and stuff like that. We need to have a way to make money, to create for ourselves and stuff like that, to create communities and wealth for ourselves. And I lean more so to the Booker T. Washington side of it with the trades and stuff like that, because especially for black men. And I wish that I really had a much more focused mindset back then when I knew this, because I've always been into black history, but I wish I had much more of a focused mind when I was, finishing up high school and stuff, that I should have got a trade. All black men should have, I feel as though all black men should have a trade. We should all be in a position to make money for ourselves. But this goes back to what I was saying about how is in the black community, somebody always thinks that they are the one, that they're the savior, that they gotta be the top dog, they gotta be the main leader, that all that different viewpoints and ideologies can't come together and collaborate in any type of way. Because I feel as though, like I said, I lean more to Booker T. Washington. You should get a trade and all that other stuff. But I also believe in the intellectual side as well, that you should do both. Like, go get your trade so you can be able to make money for yourself, and you can use that trade to pay for your college. But this has always been going on in our community. This has been centuries. Like, this ain't nothing new. Like, it's always this competition, or somebody always gotta be the top dog in the black community. We can't have a whole bunch of black therapists collaborating together. We can't have a whole bunch of black teachers collaborating together. We can't have a whole bunch of black whoever collaborating together. It always got to be who's the top dog. And then you have the people on the outside looking in, playing favorites on who should be the top dog, as opposed to bigging everybody up and actually holding these people accountable to, let's work together. I need you here. I need you here. I need you here.
Except the best, most exceptional people would save us. What he came to find out when he wrote 10 years later, The Talented Tenth Revisited, was it don't work. That 10th, they focus on themselves. They focus on making more for themselves. They focus on hoarding wealth instead of spreading it out. They focus on saying, we got here, why didn't you get here?
And that's that bourgeoisie type, that boule group of black people that still going out here, that's still walking around or whatever. They have this mentality, and even Barack Obama came out of his mouth and said the same thing, that black people need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. The audacity, and shoot, pun intended, with him with that book, The Audacity of Hope, the audacity of you to sit there out your mouth and say that black people need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and stop complaining and stuff. But hey, Barack Obama comes from a different background than black Americans, and that's just the facts. Those are facts. Those are facts. But you have these people in positions of power or celebrity that they want to be the top dog, and once they get there, they want to focus on themselves because they don't want to come back to what they know, what they used to, or what everybody else is going through.
And that's the danger of making excellence this thing that only a small slice of people can have.
So whenever people say black excellence, are we attributing it to being only talking about people with wealth? Like, is excellence only attached to wealth?
No, fame as well.
No. Only no.
Yeah.
Does it play a part? I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for us, fame is included in that, like largely included in that, you know?
Whenever there's a lot of people that I know in my life that I consider to be a part of black excellence that have not the name, they don't have the bank account.
And fame is not.
Fame is attached to it. It's just that. Like, my older brother is black excellence. He's a pastor. Like, I look up to my brother, and like my brother, he's always been disciplined and on point in the books, and he's not rich, he's not wealthy, but my brother, I look at him as black excellence. My brother be on it. Like if I was as disciplined as my brother with the talent I got, man, sky's the limit for me. I would be a millionaire. But yeah. But my brother, man, I look at my brother as black excellence. My brother, he been working for organizations. He been out there in the activist world and stuff like that. Right now, he's working for the Children's Defense Fund. My brother is black excellence to me. He's not rich. He's not wealthy. But nobody would never know about him. I know about him. The only way people would know about him is if he spoke on it on himself, you know, or I did it for him or something like, or somebody else close to him did it. But nobody will see him as black excellence because they would just see that he working a normal 9-to-5 job. But my brother, to me, is black excellence.
Including that for me. I just wanted to.
No. It's not included. If you understand it, it's not included. But for a lot of people, the optics of fame equals. Yeah.
For the majority of the black community, black excellence and fame are the same thing. Point blank, period. Don't try to argue with me or whatever. I ain't trying to hear it. That's what it is. You can see it all on social media. Because you got some of the biggest losers, and I'm not going to hide behind nothing. Some of the biggest losers and goofies are rich in the black community, and it's looked at like that they are black excellence.
Excellence.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Or at least it makes you eligible to be considered for excellence.
Yeah, because people know you are.
Yeah.
I just feel like I know a lot of people in my life that I consider to be of black excellence who don't fall into that line. So I don't want them to be like not spoken for in these moments. But I don't have a problem with anything he said though. I think he was 100% on point.
I appreciate him saying it because you know there was just too often when we started to celebrate people who get invited to certain parties. Even we couldn't get in the party. We were we were proud that they got in.
Yeah.
To this party or this brunch or this dinner or this award show or whatever, and it became like that became the standard of excellence, right? Or that became the place where you assess the excellence. And it's never collectively thinking. It's never like, okay, you built this many houses for us. You built this institution for us to learn. You created this many jobs. It became all about the individual celebration. I love Hov, and I don't usually critique Hov for all the reasons. I'm a Hovenger myself, right? But I never liked that line, what's better than 1 billionaire too? To me, better than 1 billionaire is 500 people with living wage jobs.
Living good, yeah.
Yeah, like, but if we think about it from an individual perspective, it's one way. And I get all the complexity of what he's saying, but my idea...
Like, I get it. Like, I'm a human, and I'm talking the stuff that I'm talking on here, but I get it. I can imagine myself being a multi-millionaire or billionaire and feeling on top of the world. Like, I can imagine, you know what I'm saying, if I can imagine myself getting caught up into the BS, because that's what society is always praised. So I can imagine myself possibly getting caught up into, like, man, shit, I got this money, I got this, I got that, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. F them, F that, you know what I'm saying? So I get it. I get how you can get caught up in the trap, you know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is.
is I don't want to spend too much time celebrating the individual who excels above everybody. I'd rather think about how to collectively
I think it's celebrated so much
prosper.
because there's so very few, and if we can get.
But
I liked at the end of it where he explained it.
It's really not few. It's a lot of millionaires and stuff out here. Whatever. Damn, I accidentally messing with this damn clip in my damn fingers and shit on this line. I went back to the beginning, so let me backtrack to where I was. Let me see.
Considered to be a black excellence who don't fall into that line. So I don't want them to be like not spoken for in these moments. But I don't have a problem with anything he said though. I think he was 100% on point.
I appreciate him saying it because there was just too often when we started to celebrate people who get invited to certain parties. Even we couldn't get in the party. We were we were proud that they got in.
Yeah.
To this party or this brunch or this dinner or this award show or whatever, and it became like that became the standard of excellence, right? Or that became the place where you assess the excellence. And it's never collectively thinking. It's never like, okay, you built this many houses for us. You built this institution for us to learn. You created this many jobs. It became all about the individual celebration. I love Hove, and I don't usually critique Hove for all the reasons. I'm a Hovenger myself, right? But I never liked that line, what's better than 1 billionaire too? To me, better than 1 billionaire is 500 people with living wage jobs.
Living good, yeah.
Yeah, but if we think about it from an individual perspective.
And I think also, like if just speaking from the perspective of Jay-Z, Hove, as they're calling them in this clip, is that I definitely, like, I'm a Jay-Z fan, but I also know that has a capitalistic mindset, and I look at it like he probably sees it as, well, if I did it, then you should be able to do it as well. So, not to say that Jay-Z ain't never done nothing for nobody else or, certain organizations and communities and things like that, because I know he has. But I know from just by who Jay-Z presents himself as and how his music and stuff like that, he comes off as a capitalist. So most capitalists are going to have the mindset of, well, if I did it, then you should be able to do it.
It's one way, and I get all the complexity of what he's saying, but my idea is I don't want to spend too much time celebrating the individual who excels above everybody. I'd rather think about how to collectively
I think it's celebrated so much
prosper.
because there's so very few, and if we can get a couple of more, it would probably inspire people under to be able to reach that same goal.
What did you say is better than 1 billionaire?
2.
No, what did Mark say?
That's what he said.
That's what Hov said.
500 living
wage jobs or whatever the number is. If we said we want to create a bunch of people making $50,000, whatever a billion divided by $50,000 is, or $100,000, whatever number we choose. To me, that would be better than a.
I don't think so. It doesn't change industry.
That's where this conversation always gets a little tricky for me.
Yeah, I don't.
1 billionaire creates more than that many living wage jobs.
And this is where Vic Mensa gets. This is where it gets tricky for me, right? Because Vic would say, and I would agree with him, there's no way to get $1 billion without being tied up into industries that do a lot of harm to the most vulnerable among us.
Exactly.
So you're right.
Because you got to look at it like just the history of this country. Most people who are billionaires or multimillionaires, very wealthy, rich people, and a lot of them are white. They got that from doing some type of atrocity. And those atrocities started against black people. So even if a black billionaire or multimillionaire exists, then they're usually probably doing some suspect stuff as well, because in the capitalistic society, you got to F some people over in order to get to that point. Unless you just jumping out here hitting the Powerball for 500 million or something like that, you just getting instant quick money like that, then that's something totally different. But most of these wealthy, rich people that are white and stuff like that, they're inheriting their million, passing that joint along, and it started from getting over on people. It started from getting over on people.
You could create a lot of jobs in industries. You could do innovation with that billion. You could do a lot of shit other than just create 1,000 jobs or 2,000 jobs. but you're also going to be invested in war. You're going to be invested in the military-industrial complex. You're going to be invested in prisons. You're going to be invested in things that do a lot of harm too. And there's no way to have $1 billion and not be tied up in some shit.
So is there a way to create this change without the money and power?
Well, I don't know if that's true either. I can't just let you say that.
Yeah, I was expecting you to say something back there.
Yeah, I can't, because I got to think.
No, it's true. Like if you're going to take Apple.
2v1.
No, if you're going to take Apple, because you said you were about to think.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. If you
No, you go.
Okay. But if you take Apple, for example, like, yes, it's like its technology has changed the world, but at what cost? Like when you think about the materials that it takes to make the phones, it comes from like the Congo, like tin, tantalum, and I forget what the other material is. But I mean, like it's not even.
It's blood technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now.
What's my man?
I was talking about like extreme wealth. Like we were talking about billionaires. We're talking about billionaires.
We're on billionaires.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I feel like
you can make your money off of that. That could be your primary industry, but your investments.
Yeah,
unless you just make your billion.
Even if like they was trying to, somebody in the background was basically trying to say like Oprah and stuff like that. They made their money off of whatever industry, Michael Jordan, whatever, but still, they still rubbing shoulders with these people who are investing in them, and then they're taking their money, Oprah, Michael Jordan, and them, and they're investing their money into these same industries and stuff like that to make more money that are effing people over in some type of way.
Dollars clean and keeping it under the mattress. You're even banking and investment, you're tied to these industries. I'm just saying nobody's hands are clean. Now, if we say capitalism is how we're going to live, then it's unavoidable.
Yes. That's what I believe.
And that's what if we're beginning from a place of we're going to live in capitalism, and I'd rather have Oprah have that billion than Elon Musk, I'm with y'all. But what Vic would say is, and what a lot of us are at least wrestling with, is the idea that maybe we have to tear this whole thing down and build a whole different way of doing this, so that nobody has $1 billion.
More of a socialist, communist type of thinking. I don't agree with that.
I mean,
but I understand the concept, and it would kind of put everybody at an even playing field.
Right. I'm not mad at that or people who believe in that, and people.
Well, I don't believe in communism or socialism, so I don't.
But we're in a capitalist system.
Right.
I don't think that this is what needs to happen in order for us to be able to point out or identify black excellence in a capitalist system. Like, I disagree with him about there's no such thing as black excellence because as a group it's not excellent. I could not disagree more. Like, when people say black excellence, I very rarely see them looking at a group and saying that. And to whoever's point that was about it's not necessarily based on money, I see people that just are not famous, day-to-day lives being dads, preaching a good word, having good character, being black excellence, and just carrying that around.
Yeah, that's fine that we see it. Like I just said, I see my brother as black excellence, but the world doesn't see it. So if the black community doesn't see that a quote-unquote average or normal person that is not a celebrity as black excellence, then they're programmed to only think that black excellence comes from celebrity. It always boggles my mind that black people even want to be part of a capitalistic society when our ancestors and this let me go back. This country was built off a capitalistic mindset, and those capitalist gains were made off of our ancestors, off of our backs, and it's still being made off of our backs. And the whole black community isn't benefiting from that in no type of way. You got, like I previously said, you got white families still living off of slavery gains that they made, excuse me, from our ancestors, from what they did to our ancestors. So it always confuses me that black people even want to be part of a capitalistic society. Like it's hard for me to understand that. I mean, I get it to a degree because obviously I'm 43 years old and I've came up in it, but it still boggles my mind that we're so aligned with it. We're so aligned with the capitalistic society, and it was built off of our backs and our shoulders and our necks and our babies, and people died and was killed and raped and skinned, and just for this country to be what it is today.
And that's the thing, because we had very few examples of black excellence through the proper fucking channels that we see shit.
I agree. We don't though. We just don't speak about those people.
No, we don't see it. They whitewash everything. They're taking away our history. They're taking away the shit in the school books. They're taking away your blackness. We're in a place where they're taking all that away. Yes. So when you see a LeBron, who more so than him being a billionaire, more so than him being married and doing it the right way, his character has shined over the course of 25 years. When you see a Denzel, he's been a great actor, but every time they put a mic in front of him, he's teaching. Like Neil deGrasse.
Yeah, but that is still celebrity. Even Neil deGrasse, that is still celebrity. He may be a physicist or whatever type of scientist he is, but he leans more to the celebrity. He thrives off of being a celebrity. And that's fine that LeBron is a great dad, and from what we know, and that's fine that when a mic is in front of Denzel that he's teaching. That's fine. Yeah, use your platform, but at the same time, it's still celebrity censored. It's still celebrity focused.
Examples of black excellence to where who cares what the group is doing? I'm happy to see black people that I identify as excellent.
Here's the problem, and I don't disagree with that. And if the narrative about black excellence was just reminding the world that black people are extraordinary, and here's some examples of it.
And the world knows because we built it.
Right, but they like to pretend they don't know. Right.
Okay.
I'm with you on that, 1,000%. The problem is, in a capitalist society, the people who get most exploited are always told that their exploitation is not because of the system, but because of their choices. And so a lot of times black excellence gets used as a kind of tool to make people think that the reason they're not succeeding is because they didn't work as hard as Denzel, or because they didn't train as much as LeBron, or
and
because
that's not the case.
And that's the thing. So I'm not against black excellence in the abstract, and I don't think Vic would say that either. I think it's more, how is it used as a tool against us sometimes, and not just by white people. And not just by the system, but sometimes even black folk.
Against ourselves,
Yeah, we start to think, look, man, if you just worked a little bit harder, you'd be fine. Or, if you could be as excellent as and so for me, it's just, how do we use black excellence? You know what I mean? And what's the end game? That for me is always, what's the end game of this? Will it get us free or not? And if it does, I'm with anything that'll help us get free. And I'm worried that sometimes the black excellence talk ain't moving us in that direction.
No, it's not.
You took the...
For me, it's I mean, I know, but at the very least, taking the oppressive systems and the pressure of those oppressive systems off of us. Like, black people are just exponentially more likely to go to prison for doing the same shit as white people, right?
So as you're saying, just wiping those systems totally clean.
At least taking some of the pressure off. Again, I'm not asking for perfection, especially if we live in a capitalist society, right? I'm saying, no, it shouldn't, if I'm walking down the street with crack and you walking down the street with powder cocaine, I shouldn't go to prison for longer, right? Taking some of the pressure off of that. But if the discourse is just be excellent and don't sell crack, but never look at the reason why I'm selling crack, then we get somewhere else. And I'm saying, let's have both conversations.
Exactly. And that is the whole, that's the pressure for black men. We have an enormous amount of pressure on us to be perfect, to be beyond excellent. You talk about black excellence, we got to be black beyond excellence. We got to do everything perfectly. And then when we do everything perfectly from what society says, we still looked at it as it is not enough. But the clip ending right here, so.
You know what I mean? Especially when some of the billionaires got it from selling, they got the stuff from selling crack.
Right.
So I'm just saying, let's keep all that in perspective. And sometimes the black excellence talk oversimplifies the keys to success. And sometimes it, frankly, understates how hard those people and how extraordinary those people had to be to get there.
Just to get to that point.
Yeah. That's all.
All right, that was the end of that clip. I'm going to end it off here. I appreciate you watching, listening, all that good stuff. I'll be back next week. Appreciate you. It's a taste to consider podcasts. And I'm out.